Hey everyone, welcome to an emergency episode of NU Takes. My name is Michael Barthelemy.
And I'm Didi, and we're here to give our own hot takes and spicy news about all things Northwestern sports. So on Monday, we talked about the offense, and a few days later, lots changed.
Oh yeah, in a Tuesday press conference, head coach Pat Fitzgerald announced that senior quarterback Hunter Johnson will be the starter against Michigan State on opening night, beating out senior quarterback Andrew Marty and transfer quarterback Ryan Helinski. Now Johnson started in 2019 and struggled, but he has a lot of potential and now has the chance for a revenge tour. So, Didi, what do you think of Hunter Johnson being named as a starter over Helinski?
Yeah, I mean, as I talked about in our past episode, I love it. I think that the announcement has to do with Cam Porter's, the announcement that he's going to be out for the year. But I'm happy for Hunter that he's going to have a chance, to redeem himself in his final year in Evanston. After everything that he's been through, I'm happy that he has a chance, to go out and lead the team. And I'm also excited. I'm really excited. I think that he's the man for the job. I think that he's got, like you said, a lot of potential. Again, like we talked about on Monday, high ceiling out of high school. He can do it all. He can run. He can pass. And I think that with Cam Porter out, it's a necessary thing that whoever's under center can run the ball. I think that with Cam Porter, with that kind of threat that you have at running back, I think there'd be a lot of play action passes that could have been incorporated into the offense. But now with so many question marks at the running back position, I think that Hunter Johnson is going to be great because he can make his own plays. Bajakian's going to have options for zone reads, QB options. He's going to, let Hunter Johnson run out and, make a play. And I think that's something that Helinski just would not be able to do. Regardless of whoever starts at running back, I think that there's going to be not pressure on Hunter Johnson to succeed, but there's going to be pressure on him to make throws and to make passes. And, that this can't be an offense that is very stagnant and relying on the run like we might have thought with Porter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now with Porter out, I do agree Johnson's probably the right play because when you have your biggest playmaker out for the entire season, you have to go with the higher ceiling guy. Because in my eyes, Ryan Helinski is a high floor player, but sort of a lower ceiling. And then Hunter Johnson is just the opposite. He has that low floor, which we saw in 2019. He struggled, but he has a super high ceiling, which made him a five-star recruit out of high school. And you're right. He has all the tools. It's just a matter of if he can put it all together and stay focused, calm, and controlled. And I think with Bajakian's offense, with the differentiations from 2019, he can be able to make something work. I know I was hating on him Monday, but when you're faced with the reality that he is the starter, and when you're faced with the reality that Cam Porter is out for the season, my thoughts are going to change. I'm not apologizing for that. So I think Hunter Johnson has that running ability that Northwestern now needs, because if they're going to be a good team again, if they're going to be a team that's competing for the Big Ten West title, for the Big Ten title, they're going to need to make sure that they can make plays on offense, that they can be an offense that actually moves the ball. Because with Brian Helinski now, I think with a lot of uncertainties at receiver, with now a lot of uncertainties at running back, all your skill positions are just unknowns now. You don't want a pocket passer who's sure got great accuracy and great reads and all that, but how is he going to read if no one's open? How is he going to he can't make plays on his own, so how is he going to make plays through the air if no one can get open? And with Cam Porter out, the defense can now focus a little more on the receivers because they know that playmaker isn't in the backfield. And so Hunter Johnson, a guy who can make his own play, I think is a better idea for this Cats team, because this Cats team, if they want to be good, they got to make sure that they have guys who have the potential to propel them to be really, really good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm really excited. I know this kind of seems like 2019 all over again. Everyone's like, oh, transfer, Hunter Johnson, ceiling, he can make all the right passes. But I really think that, he's not under the same amount of pressure that he was back then. He's been under Bajakian's scheme, and, no offense, no complete offense to Mick McCall. Mick McCall is just not a good offensive coordinator. And I think with the Bajakian, we've seen that he can develop quarterbacks that can go to the NFL, like we saw with Josh Dobbs. And I think that, Hunter Johnson has a real chance to be the guy this year. You know, maybe a all Big Ten team. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. And I think with Bajakian, that's really good is he adjusts his scheme to the players that he has. We saw like last year, for example, opening night, he was running the ball galore and it worked. But then as Isaiah Bowser began to struggle, as Drake Anderson wasn't putting up the same yardage that he was early on, Bajakian thought to himself, okay, the running clearly is not working. Let's try something new. We have a talented and seasoned wide receiver core. We have a Big Ten receiver or Big Ten quarterback that's been through the Big Ten for years and years in Peyton Ramsey. Let's see what we can do through the air. And then that ended up working. So I think Bajakian is very willing to adjust on the fly. And so with Johnson, he'll be able to build the scheme that fits Johnson's mold, especially seeing that he's going to be the focal point of this offense now.
Yeah, I think it also inspires confidence in Johnson, and it helps build stability that this was announced, earlier than it was in 2019. We now know a week and a half before the season starts as opposed to a couple hours before the first game. So I think that's definitely going to help.
If Johnson struggles, pretty good backup to have in Helinski.
That's true. So obviously the other big news that came out of Tuesday, Fitz confirmed that starting running back Cam Porter is going to be out for the season with a lower body injury. Porter earned the starting role in the backfield late last year and rushed for 333 yards and 5 touchdowns, including an explosive breakout game against Illinois in which he ran for 142 yards. So Northwestern does have, a lot of running back depth, but not any guys who have seen significant touches in Evanston. With Porter gone, who do you think is going to take his spot as the starter? Or do you see someone emerging, or do you think it could be something like a committee?
Well, the easy choice here would be Andrew Clare because he has the most college touches. He was playing at Bowling Green for 4 years. I do think, though, that will end up being a committee and that we'll see sort of like Andrew Clare's he isn't going to blow by everyone, especially in the Big Ten. He was blowing by people, but in the MAC, and sure, MACtion is great. Everyone loves a little bit of MACtion, but it's just not the same level of talent. And so I don't know if he'll be able to zoom past everyone like he did in the MAC, but he still brings that lightning component. And Evan Hull can bring that thunder because he is a big body, and in the limited, he hasn't seen a ton of meaningful touches because he has seen touches with Northwestern, but what did he do? He exploded against UMass. Okay, cool. He did well against Illinois. Cool. The Northwestern was up by 20 points by the time that he was coming in. And so he hasn't had a ton of meaningful snaps, but in the snaps that he's had, he's been a hard-nosed, hard runner, just runs into guys, and he can just move the chains, be a short yardage back, and they can have a little thunder and lightning going on in Evanston. And not to mention Anthony Tyus, who Northwestern could see emerge as well in a similar spot as Cam Porter last year. Anthony Tyus, another power back who has that good pass catching ability and a good rushing ability, who could bring an electricity to this backfield. And I think that it will end up being a committee just because of the lack of experience as Northwestern players. I think Andrew Clare will be the starter opening night, but I think we'll end up seeing a committee just seeing that there isn't one guy who's head and shoulders above the rest.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you on Andrew Clare. I think, he has the most experience looking at, his film. He's clearly explosive. He can do a lot out the backfield. He can run people over. He can, be kind of shifty. He can catch passes. But I got to disagree with you on the Evan Hull component. I am a fan of Evan Hull's story. I think that, it's clear to me that he's a very hard worker and he's a talented player. But I think that if it's going to be, I think it's going to be like a two-headed monster, which I hope it will be. I think it's going to be Andrew Clare and Anthony Tyus. I think Anthony Tyus could have, a similar year to how we saw Isaiah Bowser, come onto the scene after Jeremy Larkin got hurt in 2018. And then the Cats went on to make it to the Big Ten title. I think that Tyus is one of the most talented running backs that Northwestern has had in years since Justin Jackson. I mean, everything you read about him, after he committed to Northwestern, I think was only praising him, and he only got better and better as his high school year went on. I think he's got this size. He's got great size at 6'1", and 210 pounds. I think that he's got that kind of thunder component that could really be necessary for like a first or second down back. To what extent he's going to play in the first game of the season, I'm not sure, but I really hope that we're going to get to see a lot of him, as the season goes on and as he gets more comfortable and acclimated to Big Ten play. Again, it's nothing against Evan Hull, but I just don't know if he has the physical tools to compete in the Big Ten. But I hope he proves me wrong.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, because Evan Hull, I mean, when you watch his highlights, it's him running through gaping holes late in games that don't matter too much. But he was putting up numbers in that time, and yes, take it with a grain of salt, obviously, but I think there is something to say if you're ripping off 20-yard runs and scoring touchdowns. And I think if it's a 3rd and 3 situation, I want halfback up the middle, let it be Evan Hull, because Evan Hull has a little more experience. I always do get scared with sticking a true freshman in at big situations, big moments, because those guys are just so young and they're inexperienced. And for a Big Ten football game is a big deal, and it's one of the best conferences. I would say the second best conference in the nation. It's a scary place to stick a freshman sometimes, just from a coaching side, to say, like, I got to put all my trust in this guy. And sure, I get proven wrong with this all the time. I mean, Skoronski was incredible last year as a true freshman, and Cam Porter was great last year as a true freshman. But later on in the year, Anthony Tice could emerge. But Evan Hull, I would like to see have an expanded role, because he has had a couple breakout performances, and he has a more proven track record, and that I think stands up more.
Yeah, I mean, I get the track record part. I get the experience, and I think that's going to serve him well. I think he's definitely going to see the field at the beginning of the year. But I think that Northwestern's moving in the direction, at least in terms of recruiting. And I think that what fans want Northwestern to become is a school where, they get, high-rated recruits out of high school that can come in and make an impact immediately. Northwestern hasn't really been known for that. Under Pat Fitzgerald, it's been, we get Northwestern's full of guys who aren't the best athletes, but who work really hard. And, by after 2 or 3 years in the program, they can carve out a starting role for themselves. But I think that we're seeing a shift in recruiting. I think that Anthony Tice is one of those shifts. He's a 4-star. He was a 4-star by Rivals, the first 4-star running back, I believe, since Justin Jackson. And I think that he's up for the challenge. And I think that, while Evan Hull, again, that experience component is very important in the Big Ten. But I think that Anthony Tice's ceiling, frankly, is potentially much higher than Evan Hull's, especially, considering that Tice is, as you said, a true freshman. But we'll see. I think that there's a lot of talent in the backfield, and I'm not particularly worried. Obviously, Cam Porter's big blow. But having Andrew Clare, having that experienced back in the field, and having Evan Hull, I think is really gonna, provide stability.
Mm-hmm. It's a tough day for Northwestern fans seeing Cam Porter out. He was going to be the biggest playmaker, and spark of hope, though. Hunter Johnson could emerge as a great player. We could see the emergences of guys like Evan Hull or an Anthony Tice. We'll have to wait and see. From NU Takes, Emergency Studios, I'm Michael Barthelemy.
And I'm Didi.
And we'll see y'all in less than a week.